It has been about 2 years since I got my thyroid surgery. In December of 2017, I got half of my thyroid removed, and I realized that I haven't done a follow-up. So I'm going to do that in this video. So if that interests you, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and stay tuned. So in December of 2017, I had to get surgery to get half of my thyroid removed. And the reason for that was there was a mysterious lump that they couldn't determine was definitely not cancer. So I had an ultrasound and I had 2 fine needle biopsies. I believe the first one was a standard fine needle biopsy, and the second one involved some sort of more complex genetic testing. And both of those tests were inconclusive. So the final option to determine if it was definitely not cancer was surgery. Now, the good news is that they determined it was not cancer. It was something called a Hürthle cell adenoma, which is rare but harmless to the best of my knowledge. So I was very, very fortunate in that I had the best outcome possible. So I've been living with a partial thyroid for approximately 2 years. Fortunately for me, I have not had to go on any medication. Now, I was warned that it was very possible that I would need to go on medication, but I have had I think I've had 3 tests since I've had my surgery, and my levels have remained normal, which means that my half thyroid was able to take over complete function and function as a normal thyroid would. So I haven't had to go on any medication. So that's, a really, really great outcome. And it was very, very fortunate. I have to say that going into it, I was very scared, understandably, right? There were a lot of questions. Anytime that you have a cancer scare, that's just a very, very anxiety-provoking thing. So it was a tough few months leading up to that surgery, but again, I was very fortunate with my outcome. Now, one of the things that I will say is communicate with your doctor. Definitely do your research, but hopefully you have a doctor that you trust and you can talk comfortably with. And the reason why I say that is because initially the plan was to remove my entire thyroid. Because they simply didn't know. And the reason for that was they had to remove the lump in the thyroid and then test it for cancer. And if they had only removed half of my thyroid and it was cancer, they would have to then go back in, do an additional surgery, and remove the other half. That said, after doing my research, I had a conversation with my surgeon the night before my surgery, and I said, listen, I understand that is the typical recommended procedure, to remove the entire thyroid in case it is cancer. However, I also understand that what's recommended with thyroid is kind of a moving target, right? The recommendations tend to sort of change every couple of years based on new data. And I said, understanding that, I would request and prefer that you be as conservative as possible. So if I can keep half of my thyroid and not have to go on medication, I would much prefer to do that. With the understanding that if it is cancer, then yes, I will have to go into surgery again, but that would be my preference. And my surgeon was very, very understanding, and she said, we can do that. That's perfectly fine. As it turned out, once she was in the operating room, I guess upon seeing it, she said it didn't look like cancer. So even though they hadn't analyzed it yet, it was looking pretty good already. But I'm really, really happy that I had that conversation with her, because if the plan was to remove my entire thyroid, I would have done that for something that was not cancerous, and then I would have to be on medication today, which I don't want to present it as this hugely problematic thing, but I do know that sometimes from reading a lot of forums and a lot of people's experiences, that can sometimes be hard to find that perfect balance, right? So I was just hoping that my thyroid could continue to function, which it did. So I highly recommend that you trust your doctor, but that you talk to your doctor, and hopefully you can have a conversation with them like that. So I had the best possible outcome. I thought my surgeon was fantastic. I don't know, I'll try to do a close up here, but the scar is at this point pretty invisible. I mean, you can barely see it. So, I was very, very pleased and happy with my outcome. Now, I realize people might have questions about, whether I'm taking any particular supplements or doing anything to help keep my thyroid levels normal. The short answer is no, not on purpose. The longer answer is I would say that I lead a pretty healthy lifestyle. And I would say that I'm a pretty healthy eater. I cook most dinners at home, and I do tend to be very, very conscious of eating a lot of vegetables and a nice variety of vegetables. So I am an omnivore. My husband and I are both omnivores. We eat everything. But I always make sure that, most of the portions on our plate are veggies, meaning we might have salmon and asparagus and mashed potatoes with a salad, a simple salad of like olive oil and balsamic vinegar and just some spices. So there's always a lot of fresh vegetables that I'm eating. Other things that I do, and again, I don't know if this is necessarily helping, I do take a vitamin D supplement most days when I remember. I'm not super religious about it. I also really try to get enough sleep. I know for myself, especially, past the age of 40, I really do need to get enough sleep, and I feel like it keeps my immune system strong. And especially now with everything that's going on, that is something that's highly, highly important. So I really do value and put a huge priority on sleep when I probably didn't in my 20s, definitely didn't, and in most of my 30s. So there's that. I don't really have any bad habits. I don't smoke. I drink occasionally, but even that has been cut down. My tolerance for that is, lighter and lighter, so I just don't drink very much at all. And I would say I'm sort of a one and done kind of person when it comes to drinking. And I do exercise. Again, I'm not perfect with it, but I would say that I probably try to exercise between 2 and 3 times a week, if not more. Even if I'm not officially exercising, like yesterday, when I wanted to get out of the house to do something, and I didn't, but I did kind of go on a cleaning frenzy, and I vacuumed the whole house, and my husband was making fun of me for saying this, but I kind of have a sore shoulder today from vacuuming. So there was, I was definitely working up a sweat doing that. And I also attempted to do 10 push-ups as part of a push-up challenge, but after seeing my form, I was like, there's no way I'm posting that, because that's kind of horrifying. So I would say I lead a pretty healthy lifestyle. Now, I will mention that a few months after my thyroid surgery, so again, that was December of 2017, I did my first Spartan race. So that year following, I was extremely active, and in order to train and keep my energy up for those Spartan races, I believe I did 2 or possibly 3 Spartan races that year. I did kind of up my activity level in an effort to be stronger and, more prepared for that Spartan race. So, I don't know if that helped, my levels, maintain normal levels. I really don't know. I don't know enough about it, and how much regular and consistent exercise plays into that. I just know that regular exercise is so important in general. I can't imagine that it doesn't have some impact. Now, the other interesting aspect is that I am a voiceover talent. And so I had gotten some questions about how getting that partial thyroid surgery affected my voice. The good news is it didn't have any permanent change. I did notice for several weeks after, maybe even as far as, I don't know, maybe like 2 months after, I did notice a little bit of hoarseness on certain notes of my voice, meaning that my regular sort of close, intimate narrations or telephone prompts or medical explainer videos or e-learnings or any of that kind of work was not really impacted. But if I had to do something that was more projected, that's when I would notice that my voice would cut out. But that has healed, and so I do feel like I have full range of my voice. And it was sort of like, I guess I would describe it as sort of like cracking, like a boy going through puberty. On certain notes, I would just notice that my voice would crack and give out. Now, I had a really, really horrendous cold back in December. You could see it in my Vlogmas videos. And that really took a toll. And I noticed that for weeks after, I was having a similar issue with my voice, where on certain very projected notes or pitches, my voice would sort of cut out or get hoarse easier, or sort of crack. But again, that has also healed, and I do feel like my voice is back to being 100%. So fortunately, I didn't have any permanent issues with that. But if you like this video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and I would love to hear from you. If you have any particular questions for me, any comments, or any concerns, if you have a thyroid issue, please go ahead and comment below, and I will try my best to answer them. But thank you so much for watching. Stay healthy, stay sane, and I will talk to you in the next video.